Hi everybody, this is Jamie from beading class. I'm making you guys a video for the bracelet that Elizabeth has kindly provided us, the pattern that she's kindly provided us for our meeting this Sunday. I apologize that I cannot be there. I am actually living in Irvine with my fiance now. But I'm happy to do this video for you guys. So hopefully this helps you understand. We are going to go through the first motif. I will do the first motif video, and then I will post the second and then the third once I get my my barrel clasp. I'm sorry, my tube clasp. Kind of working from with stuff that I have. I don't have all of my materials with me. So there's a couple of things that you need to remember. We're using size 11 seed beads, and we're using 3mm glass pearls. So it does call for a 4-pound fire line, which honestly I would recommend you using with such small beads. The instructions that were provided recommend a 6-pound fire line, and that's fine for a bigger bead, but we are going to be going through a lot of the bead work that we're doing, so it's actually reinforcing, and if you have a thicker line, it makes it a little bit harder to go through the smaller beads. So we always want to work with the material that's best appropriate for our bead work. So if you're using 6-pound, that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Just please be careful going through your work, and be careful not to snag it or knot it, because that will definitely degrade your work after time, because knots tend to cause friction when you wear your pieces. So just be aware of that. Okay, so there is a numerical pattern to this. I don't know if you've looked through this and had an epiphany like I did, but there is a very numerical pattern to this. It's a 10 and a 7 pattern. So we're working in our inner part, we're working with 10 seed beads on our loops. Even with our full loops, we're always doing 7s and 7s. So when you're working with stringing your pearl loop, or you're working with stringing your full loops, it's always going to be in 7s. And I often refer to one of the middle beads in the circle as the 7 bead, and then I refer to the other one as the spacer bead. So you're going to hear that quite often in this tutorial. Okay, so we've got our fire line on our needle, and it's at a comfortable length to work with. So let's get going. Okay, so to start this off, we are going to make our first inner circle, which is going to be 10 seed beads. I am not using seed beads. I'm not using 11 beads. I'm actually using much bigger beads so that you can see this on the video. 9, 10. And of course, I'm not using pearls. I'm using just another bigger bead so that we can actually see this. Is working with 11s and a 3mm pearl on a camera is not fun. Okay, so we've got our 10 seed beads. They are on our line. We're going to give ourselves a nice healthy tail. 6 inches is recommended. A little longer is totally fine. It's completely up to you, because you can always add thread later on to complete your piece. So I probably did that off camera, and I apologize. So what I did was I took my 10, and then the very first 2 that I strung, I went back through so that I could complete my circle. Okay, so now we have our nice little circle. We are going to now make a pearl loop. So a pearl loop has 3 seed beads a pearl bead, and then 3 more seed beads. Okay, and like I said, we're working in sevens, so there's 7 beads that we have. Okay. You are going to want to go back through the bead that your working line is coming through. Okay, that will complete your circle, your pearl loop, and give you your 7th working bead. Okay, so when I was explaining that I'm going to refer to a 7 bead, this is the bead that I'm referring to, because when you're looking at your pattern, you're always going to have this inner circle, and this will be your 7th bead. You're gonna, when we complete our loops up here, you'll understand it a little bit better, because it's 7 beads. The middle bead's going to actually make the next circle. So just remember, you're always going to have a 7th bead and a spacer bead. So we've made now 1 pearl loop. We're going to make another pearl loop. So you want to go through the next 2 beads. Okay, and there is a very, very definite reason, which I actually just said. This is your work, this is the piece bead, this is your spacer bead, and this is going to be your next piece bead. So it's your 7 bead. I kind of want to drill that in, because it's easier to explain this pattern when working with it, to go back through the 7 bead. Okay, so we're going to make another pearl loop, which we're going to take 3 of our seed beads, 1 of our pearls, 3 more of our seed beads, and then we're going to go back through that 7 bead. Now, this was the reason why I wanted to put this on YouTube, so that you guys can pause and go back and, and if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to email me. I'm completely fine with explaining anything over the phone. If you want to Skype, I can help you that way too. Okay, so now we're going to make a full loop. And a full loop is a pearl loop and then the continuation loop. So to make a full loop, we go through the next 2 beads, our spacer bead, and then our working 7 bead. Okay, and then we're going to start with our pearl loop, which is, again, 3 seed beads, 1 pearl bead, 3 seed beads, and then go back through that working 7 bead. Okay. Now, to make the continuing full loop that's on top, you go up these 3 seed beads. Snug that up. Okay, now you're going to grab 7 of your seed beads. Like I said, we're working with 7s. So you did 7 to make that pearl loop, now you're doing 7 to continue the rest of the loop. It starts to make sense once you get a little bit further along. 7. Okay, so you've got your 7 beads on your line, and you're going to go now down these other side 3 beads. I'm sorry, seed beads. Oh my goodness. Tongue-tied today. Okay, that has made us a lovely little petal. So now you're going to go back through your working 7 bead. Okay, so now you've got 2 pearl loops, 1 full loop, and if you did it right, you should have your working 7 bead, a spacer bead, a working 7 bead, spacer bead, and then your last working 7 bead that you just completed. Okay. So now we're going to make another full loop, or full circle, yeah, full loop, whichever you want to call it. So we're going to go through our next 2 seed beads to start this process. Okay. Making sure we keep things a little cinched up all the way through. We're going to take our 3 seed beads, pearl, if I can actually get them on my needle. Okay, make our pearl loop, so sorry about that, by going through the working 7 bead. Oops. Would help if it didn't get caught on my table. Okay. And that looks very sloppy, I apologize. Cinch that up, or I think it's Barbara that would say it, snug it up. Okay. And we're going to continue making our full loop. So we're going to grab 7 of our seed beads. 6, 7. No, we're not going to grab 7 of our seed beads. We're going to go up through the 3 seed beads. And if this were in person, someone would have said, Jamie, did you miss something? And I would have said, I most certainly did. Okay, up through the first 3 seed beads to continue on with making our full loop, because Jamie's a little brain dead today. My apologies. So I don't stab myself. Let me cinch this up. Okay, we're gonna grab our 7 seed beads. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're gonna go back down through the other side. And then, okay, and then through our working 7 seed bead. Okay. Snug all that up. So what you should be looking at right now are 2 pearl loops and 2 full loops. So now we're going to complete this circle of petals and make 1 more pearl loop. That's it, just the 7 for the pearls. So it would be 3 of our seed beads, 1 of our pearl beads, and then 3 of our seed beads. Okay, so set those aside because we need to go through our next 2 beads. Grab your pearl loop beads. I'm getting ahead of myself, I apologize. And then go back through that working 7 bead. Okay. So now, and this is again why it's probably beneficial for you to use a smaller or the thinner fire line for this project if you're using 11 seed beads, is because we're actually going to start going through the work that we just did. So you are going to go through these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seed beads in this circle. So once you've gotten to this 6th bead, which is actually a working 7 bead, you are going to make sure everything's nice and tight. And then you're going to go up the side of this petal. Okay, you're going to go all the way up these 6 beads. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're going to exit out of this working 7 bead. Okay. So just to let you know where we are in the instructions, okay, we just finished Unit 1. So now we have our base. This is how we're going to start making our lace, and now we are going to pick up and make the next circle of these petals. Okay, so this is a very important bead. This is not only just a working 7 bead, but it's also one of the 10, because if you remember back in here, these inner beads are, this circle here is going to be 10. This bead is part of a 10 circle, just like this one is part of a 10 circle. So we're going to pick up 9 seed beads. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so we've got 9 seed beads on our line. Okay, and we're going to go through about monkey's uncle, and we're going to go through that 7 working bead that I like to refer to close our circle. Okay. This one's like going to be a little bit different because we're going to go all the way through our circle again to reinforce it. So go through all 10 beads again to reinforce the circle. However you want to. Accomplish that in my not so fancy way that you can't see. Haha. Okay. See. And now your thread is ending through that working 7 bead. Okay. I'm sure most of you now are truly picking up this pattern and going, okay, now I'm getting it. Now I get what the paper's saying. That's totally fine. Okay, so now I'm hoping that's what you're saying, because that is the reason why I'm making this video, so that you can have as much fun as I have trying to make this bracelet. Okay, so we have our 10, our circle of 10, and we've started off with the 7 working beads. Now we are going to make 3 purl loops, and then we're going to stop for just a second. So let's do our first purl loop, which we're going to pick up. We're going to go through 2 like we did before. We're going to go through 2 of our seed beads, and if my tail would stop mixing it up with everything. It just wants to join the party for sure. Okay, we're making a purl loop. So purl loops are 3 seed beads, 1 purl bead, and then 3 seed beads. Go back through that working 7 bead. Okay. And now we're going to make our next purl loop. So go through the next 2 seed beads. Pick up your purl loop beads, 3 seed beads, 1 purl, 3 seed beads. Go back through that working 7 bead. Okay. So now we're on unit 2 of our instructions, and we just completed, we're about to complete B through C in number 2 of unit 2. So we're making 3 purl loops. This is going to be our 3rd purl loop for this one. 1, 2, 3. If I'd stop just getting ahead of myself, I would make this whole process a lot easier for me. Before you go and put your beads on your wire, on your thread, go through the next 2 seed beads in your circle to get to your next working 7 bead. Now you can put your 3 purl 3 beads on your needle, and then go through that working 7 bead to complete your purl loop. Okay. Now we're playing with fire. Now I shouldn't say we're playing with fire. We're cooking with fire. We're cooking with fire. Okay, so now we're gonna go through, and we're gonna make a full loop. Okay. And position your work however you feel comfortable, because you're the one that's working with it. Okay, so now we are going to go through the next 2 seed beads. Okay. This is where it gets fun. We are going to make a full loop now. Okay, so full loop is a purl loop and the continuing portion of the loop. So 3 seed beads, 1 purl, 3 seed beads. Sorry about that. Go back through our working 7 bead. Oops, you don't belong there. 2. Okay, and now we're going to make the rest of the loop, which is 7 seed beads. 1, no, my apologies. I'm still getting ahead of myself. My goodness. Okay, before we can continue the loop, we have to go up the side of 3. I'm sure Jerry's going, Jamie, you're going too fast. You're going too fast. Okay, so set those 7 aside. We're going to go up these 3. And then we're going to continue our loop, continue the rest of the loop, the full loop. Okay. Now I'm on track. Okay. Grab your 7 beads, your 7 seed beads. And then go down the other side. Now don't get ahead of me. For those of you who are quick on this, do not get ahead of me because we are not following the same type of pattern that we were before. Okay, this is slightly different. Now we're going to go through our working 7. Yes. And now we're going to go up. Damn it. We're going to go up this side to exit through this working 7. I know, threw you guys for a loop. So, bump. So count off. Here's your working 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to go through these last 2. Okay, make sure everything's nice and tight. Okay, you should have a motif, or I'm so sorry. You should have your design that looks like this. You have your working thread is coming out of this working 7 bead. So like I keep stressing to everybody that this all comes into, you know, this really nice figured motif when we start doing everything. When we put this together, this is your focal point and it looks really beautiful when done. Okay, so now for those of you who are following along in the instructions, we have just completed number 3 in unit 2, and we've gone at figure 4, A through B. So if you are trying to follow along, which I highly recommend, this is where we're at. Okay, so now we are going to go through we are now going to go to unit 3, which is we are repeating step 1 of unit 2, which is, if we all remember, it is picking up 9 seed beads, making a circle with that working 7, and then going through it again. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. we're going to go through these 9 or these 10 beads again, and your thread should still be coming out of that working 7 bead that is at the top of that petal. Make sure everything's nice and tight. And complete this circle by going through that working 7. I just find the hole. Okay. So now we have our new circle, our new inner circle that we're starting. And guess what we're going to do? We are going to start again making our purl loops and then our full loops. So we are going to work 2 purl loops. 2, 3. Okay. But Jamie keeps getting ahead of herself. So, working our 2 purl loops the same way that we've been doing before. That is, if I didn't skip a step. So, you want to go through the next 2 beads on your inner circle while I fix my little issue, and then grab your purl loop beads and go back through that working 7 bead. And give me 2 seconds and I will show you exactly what that looks like. You don't want to get too far ahead in this because it will get a little bit complex in the next unit. Okay, so go through your next 2 beads, next 2 seed beads. After that working 7 bead, grab your purl loop beads